Retail Management, Masters of Commerce, 4th semester, Mangalore University, Session 10. Strategic Retail Planning. In this session, you are going to learn about the buying process. Learning objective to gain knowledge about the buying process. Session outcome to enlighten the students about the stages in buying decision process. An effective retail strategy satisfies customer needs better than do competitor strategies. Thus, understanding customer needs and buying behavior is critical to formulating and implementing an effective retail strategy. Successful retailers are customer centric. Their strategic and tactical decisions revolve around their present and potential customers, focuses on how customers process information and make decisions about what stores to patronize, what channels to use, and what products and services to buy. It describes the stages customers go through when making purchase decisions and the factors that influence their buying process. Since it typically is not cost since Since it typically is not cost efficient for retailers to develop unique offerings for individual customers, retailers target their offerings to groups of customers with the similar needs and buying processes. The buying process. The following scenario illustrates the steps consumers go through when purchasing merchandise. Eva Mendoza, a student at a university, is beginning to interview for jobs. Eva planned to wear the blue suit her parents gave her several years ago to the interviews. But looking at her suit, she realizes that it's not very stylish and that the jacket is beginning to show signs of wear. Wanting to make a good first impression during her interviews, she decides to buy a new suit. Eva surfs the internet for tips on dressing for interviews and looks through some catalogs to see the styles and prices being offered. She then decides to go to a store so that she can try on a suit and have it altered if necessary. She likes to shop at certain retail stores, but neither sells business suits. Before going to a Northgate Mall in Seattle, she makes a status post on her Facebook page announcing her intentions to go to the mall and inviting friends to join her. Britt, her friend, responds to her Facebook posting and they decide to meet at the mall entrance. Betsy also responds, but she has a cold and wants to rest. Eva also goes to www.brandhabit.com, a site that allows her to examine and compare all the suits currently available at the mall. Armed with list of possibilities, she plans to go directly to the stores in the mall that she already reviewed on brandhabit.com. They first go to Mackey's and are approached by a salesperson in the carrier women's department. After asking Eva what type of suit she wants and her size, the salesperson shows her three suits. Eva talks with Britt about the suits and they decide to get Betsy's opinion. So Eva takes photos of the suits with her mobile phone and sends them to Betsy at her apartment. Betsy likes all three, so Eva tries them on. When Eva comes out of the dressing room, she is unsure which suit to select, but after sending Betsy some more photos, she, Britt, and the salesperson decide the second suit is the most attractive and appropriate for interviewing. Eva is happy with the color, fit, fabric, and length of the suit, but she is concerned that it will require dry cleaning. It also cost more than that she had planned to spend. Eva decides to buy the suit after another customer in the store seeing her wearing the suit tells her she looks very professional. As Britt and Eva are walking toward the door, they pass the shoe department. Britt tells Eva, "You need to buy shoes that go with your suit." Eva finds a pair of Steve Madden pumps that are perfect. She tries on a few pairs to get the right size. Then Britt tells her that she thinks the shoes are overpriced. Eva scans the UPC code for the shoes using her mobile phone shopping app and finds that Zappos is selling the shoes at $20 less. So she orders the shoes from Zappos for delivery to her apartment. So Considering the Eva shopping trip, we can describe the customer buying process. The buying process, the buying process refers to the steps consumers go through when buying a product or service. It begins when customers recognize an unsatisfied need. Then they seek information about how to satisfy the need, what retailers, channels, and products or services might satisfy the need. Customers evaluate the alternatives and choose a store or internet site or visit or a catalog to review. Their encounter with a retailer provides more information and may alert the customers to additional needs. After evaluating the retailer's offerings, customers may make a purchase or go to another retailer to collect more information. Eventually, customers purchase a product, use the product, and then decide whether the retailer, channel, and product satisfy their need during the post purchase evaluation stage of the customer buying process. The stages in the buying process. So, the following chart tells you about the stages in the buying process. So on the left hand side, you have the various stages in the buying process, that is need recognition, information search, evaluation, choice, visit, and loyalty. On the same lines, you have selecting a retailer and a channel. So you have again different type of steps. And selecting a merchandise. So the selecting a retailer and a channel and selecting a merchandise goes hand in hand. So when as and when you start recognizing the needs for your needs, you go in search for a retailer. You search for information about the retailers, you evaluate the retailers and the channels, select a retailer and a channel, and visit stores or internet site along or the catalog. Afterwards, you start recognizing the needs of your merchandise, search for the information about that particular product, evaluate your product, select a product, and purchase a merchandise. And you also do certain repeat patronage for the retailer, and you do even the post purchase evaluation. Whether if the post purchase evaluation is negative, again you go in search for the information about a new merchandise. So this is how the process goes on. So the stages consumers go through a select a retailer and channel and buy a specific item. The following table tells that the buying process is linear as shown by the solid lines. First, the channel is selected, then the retailer, and finally the specific item is being selected. For each of these decisions, customers go through 5 different stages, beginning with need recognition and ending with loyalty. So as I discussed the stages in the buying process, you also should recognize that the customers might not go through all the stages and or might not go all the stages in the order that is shown in the table. So for example, Eva might have decided on the brand of a suit she wanted before selecting a store, or she might have collected the information about suits sold at Mackey's and on the basis of this information decided to go another store or to use another channel such as the internet to buy the suit. Retailers attempt to influence the customers as they go through the buying process or encourage the consumers to buy merchandise and services from them. Each stage in the buying process is examined in the following slides. First is the need recognition. The buying process is triggered when the customers recognize they have an unsatisfied need. An unsatisfied need arises when customers' desired level of satisfaction differs from their present level of satisfaction. In this example, for example, Eva recognized that she had a need when she was faced with the prospect of interviewing for jobs in her blue suit. She needed a suit that would make a good impression and realized her own outdated blue suit would not satisfy this need. Need recognition can be as straightforward as realizing you need a haircut, feeling the need for an uplifting experience after a final exam, or receiving a message about something a friend bought. The types of needs. The needs that motivate the consumers to go to shopping can be classified as utilitarian needs or hedonic needs. When consumers go through shopping to accomplish a specific task, such as Eva buying a suit for job interviews, they are seeking to satisfy the utilitarian needs. When consumers go for shopping for pleasure, they are seeking to satisfy their hedonic needs, their needs for entertaining, emotional, and recreational experiences. Thus, from the consumer's perspective, utilitarian needs are associated with work, whereas hedonic needs are associated with fun. Successful retailers attempt to satisfy both the utilitarian and the hedonic needs of their customers. Consumers motivated by utilitarian needs typically shop in a more deliberate and efficient manner. Thus, retailers need to provide adequate information and an effortless shopping experience for utilitarian shoppers. On the other hand, shoppers with hedonic needs desire excitement, stimulation, status, and power and adventures. So, examples of how retailers satisfy the hedonic needs are listed. First one is the stimulation. Retailers and mall managers use background music, visual displays, scents, and demonstration in stores and malls to create a carnival like stimulating experience for their customers. Such environments encourage the consumers to take a break from their everyday lives and visit stores. Retailers also attempt to stimulate the customers with exciting graphics and photography in their catalogs and on their websites. Second hedonic needs is status and power. For some people, a store or a service provider facility is one of the few places where they get attention and respect. For example, sorry. Third is the adventure. Often, consumers go shopping because they enjoy finding bargains, looking for sales, and finding discounts or low prices. They treat shopping as a game to be won. The next type of need is the conflicting needs. Most customers have multiple needs. Moreover, these needs often conflict. For example, Eva Mendonça would like to wear a DKNY suit which would enhance her self image and earn her the admiration of her college friends. But satisfying these hedonic needs might conflict with her utilitarian needs, the need to stay within her budget, and the need to get a job. Employers might feel that she is not responsible if she wears a suit that is too expensive for an interview for an entry level position. Because needs often cannot be satisfied by one store, one channel, or one product, consumers may appear to be inconsistent in their shopping behavior. For example, a skier may purchase expensive spider goggles but wear an inexpensive snowsuit from Target. A grocery shopper might buy an inexpensive store brand of paper towels and a premium national brand of orange juice. The pattern of buying both premium and lower priced merchandise or patronizing both expensive status oriented retailers and price oriented retailers is called cross shopping. Although all cross shoppers seek value, their perception of value varies across product categories. Thus, a cross shopper might feel it is worth the money to dine at an inexpensive restaurant but believe there is little quality difference between the kitchen utensils at Target and designer brands at a specialty store. Similarly, consumers may cut back on their vacations at costly resorts but still want to treat themselves to expensive high quality jams, mustards, and olive oils from the supermarket. These cross shopping patterns make it challenging for retailers to select appropriate assortments for their customers. Next is stimulating need recognition. Customers must first recognize the unsatisfied need before they are motivated to visit a store or go online to buy merchandise. Sometimes these needs are stimulated by an event in a person's life, like Eva's impending interviews. But retailers use a variety of approaches to stimulate unmet needs: advertising, email, direct mail, publicity and special events communicate the availability of new merchandise or special prices. Visits on within a store, visual merchandising and salespeople can stimulate the need recognition. For example, a display of shoes stimulated Eva's need for shoes to complement her new suit. The second step is the information search. Once the customers identify a need, they typically seek information about the retailers, channel, or products to help them satisfy that need. Sources of information. Customers have two sources of information: internal and external sources. Internal sources are information in a customer's memory, such as names, images, and past experiences with different stores. The major source of internal information is the customer's past shopping experience. Even if they remember only a small fraction of the information to which they are exposed, customers have an extensive internal information bank to draw on when deciding where to shop and what to buy. External sources consist of information provided by ads and other people. When customers feel that their information is inadequate, they turn to external information sources. For example, Eva asked her friends Betsy and Brit to help her make the purchase decisions. External sources of information play a major role in the acceptance of fashions. Next is under that an amount of information searched. In general, the amount of information search undertaken depends on the value customers feel they can gain from searching versus the cost of searching. The value of the search stems from the degree to which the additional information improves the customer's purchase decision. Will the search help the customer find a lower priced product or one that will give superior performance? The cost of the search include the customer's time and money. Traveling from store to store can cost money for gas and parking, but the major cost incurred is the customer's time. Technology has dramatically reduced the cost of information search. For example, vast information about merchandise sold across the world is just a mouse click away. The amount of information search is affected by the characteristics of individual customer and the aspects of the market and buying situation in which the purchase is made. Some people search more than others. For example, shoppers seeking hedonic benefits typically spend more time collecting information and shopping because they enjoy the process. Customers who are self confident or have prior experience purchasing and using the product or service tend to search less. Two marketplace and situational factors affecting the information search are the number of competing brands and retail outlets and the time pressure under which the purchase must be made. When competition is greater and there are more alternatives to consider, the amount of information search increases. However, the amount decreases as time pressure increases. Next is reducing information search. The retailer's objective for customers in the information search stage is to limit the customer's search to its store or website. One measure of a retailer's performance on this objective is a conversion rate, the percentage of customers who enter a store or access a website and then buy a product at the store or website. Each element of the retailing mix can be used to increase a retailer's conversion rate. Category specialists such as Best Buy and Lowe's provide a very deep assortment of merchandise, everything a customer might want to consider, so that the customer can collect all the information and make the necessary comparisons between the products in their stores or on their websites. Services provided by retailers can also limit the search to the retailer's location. By offering credit and having informed salespeople, a retailer can convince consumers that they don't need to collect additional information from their retailers. The everyday low pricing EDLP at Walmart helps assure customers that they won't find an item at a lower price at a different store the next time they shop for it. In addition, many stores with everyday low prices offer money back guarantees if a competitor offers the same merchandise at a lower price. These pricing policies tend to limit the customer's information search to retailers' offerings. While retailers hope to confine their customers' information search to their stores and websites, they also want to encourage the customers to spend as much time shopping in their channels as possible. The more time customers spend in a store or a website, the more they will buy. Retailers engage in a variety of practices to increase the time consumers spend on their stores, including using music and lighting to create a more pleasant experience and providing a play area so that children will be occupied while their parents shop. Next, in internet information search and price competition. The internet has had a profound impact on consumers' ability to gather external information. In addition to placing their own information on their websites, retailers encourage their customers to post information such as product reviews, ratings, and in some cases, photos and videos. Consumer reviews are emerging as a prime information source for shoppers as they collect information during the buying process. However, retailers are concerned that the ease of collecting price information through the internet will increase the price competition. Traditionally, price competition between store based retailers offering the same merchandise was reduced by geographic constraints. Through the internet, however, the number of stores that consumers can visit to compare prices is no longer limited by physical distance. Consumers also can use a number of mobile phone apps to learn about prices and availability of products at stores near where they are located. While the internet enables the consumer shopping online to collect price information with little effort, they can also get the information about the quality and performance of products at a low search cost. The additional information about product quality might lead customers to pay more for high quality products, thus decreasing the importance of price. In addition, retailers using an internet channel can differentiate their offerings by providing better services and information. Even with low search cost, research shows significant price dispersions for retailers offering the same branded products through an internet channel. The price differences for branded products persist even though economic theory suggests that prices should be the same for all retailers as such cost for branded products diminish. The third stage is the evaluation of alternatives, the multi-attribute model. The multi-attribute model provides a useful way to summarize how customers use the information they have collected to evaluate and select retailers, channels, and products. We discuss this model in detail because it offers a framework for developing a retailing strategy. The multi attribute attitude model is based on the notion that customers see a retailer, a product, or a channel as a collection of attributes or characteristics. The model is designed to predict a customer's evaluation of a product, retailer, or channel on the basis of first one, its performance on the relevant attributes, and second, the importance of those attributes to the customer. Beliefs about performance. To illustrate this model, consider the store choice decision confronting a young single professional woman who needs groceries. She considers three alternatives: a supercenter store in the next suburb, second, her local supermarket store, or third, a grocer that operates only on internet channel. So, noticing some benefits, she is combining several objective characteristics. For example, the convenient benefit combines travel time, checkout time, and ease of finding products. Grocery prices and delivery cost affect her beliefs about the economy of shopping at the various retail outlets. The degree to which each retailer provides each benefit is represented on a 10-point scale. 10 means the retailer performs very well in providing the benefit. 1 means it performs very poor. Next is importance weights. The young woman in the preceding example forms an overall evaluation of each alternative on the basis of importance she places on each benefit the retailers provide. The importance she places on a benefit can also be represented using a 10-point rating scale, with the 10 indicating the benefit is very important to her and 1 indicating it's very unimportant. Single woman values convenience and the availability of product information much more than economy and assortment. But to the parent, economy is very important and assortment is moderately important, whereas convenience and product information aren't very important. The importance of a retailer's benefit differs from each customer and also may differ for each shopping trip. For example, the parent with four children may stress economy for major shopping trips but place more importance on convenience for a full in trip. The single woman and parent having the same beliefs about each retailer's performance, but they differ in the importance they place on the benefits the retailers offer. In general, customers can differ in their beliefs about retailers' performance as well as in their importance weights. The overall the For the single woman, the internet grocer has the highest score and thus has the most favorable evaluation. She would probably select this retailer for most of her grocery shopping. On the other hand, the supercenter has the highest score for the parent who would probably buy the family's weekly groceries there. When customers are about to select a retailer, they don't actually go through the process of listing store characteristics, evaluating retailers' performance on these characteristics, determining each characteristic's importance, calculating each store's overall score, and then patronizing the retailer with the highest score. The multi attribute attitude model does not reflect customers' actual decision process, but it does predict their evaluation of alternatives and their choice. In addition, the model provides useful information for designing a retail offering. For example, if the supermarket could increase its performance rating on assortment from 7 to 10, customers like the parent might shop at the supermarket more often than at the supercenter. Implications of retailers. In this In this section, I'm going to describe how a retailer can use the multi-attribute attitude model to encourage the customers to shop at the retailer more frequently. First, the model indicates what information customers use to decide which retailer to patronize or which channel to use. Second, it suggests tactics that retailers can undertake to influence customers' store, channel, and merchandise choices. To develop a program for attracting the customers, retailers need to do market research to collect the following information. First one, alternative retailers that customers consider. Second, characteristics or benefits that customers consider when evaluating and choosing a retailer. Third, customers' ratings of each retailer's performance on the characteristics. Fourth, the importance weights that customers attach to the characteristics. Armed with this information, the retailer can use several approaches to influence the customers to patronize its store or internet site. Getting into consideration set. Retailers need to be included in the customer's consideration set or the set of alternatives the customer evaluates when making the choice of a retailer to patronize. To be included in the consideration set, retailers develop programs to increase the likelihood that customers will remember them when they are about to go shopping. Retailers can increase the customer awareness through communication and location decisions. For example, retailers can get placement at the top of the screen when consumers are using a search engine term for products they sell. They can develop communication programs that link categories they sell with their name. Starbucks locates several stores in the same area so that customers are exposed more frequently to the store name as they drive through the area. After ensuring that it is in consumers' consideration set, a retailer can use four methods to increase the chances that customers will select it for a visit. First, increase beliefs about the store's performance. Second, decrease the performance beliefs for competing stores in the consideration set. Third, increase customers' importance weights. Fourth, add a new benefit. Fourth, purchasing the merchandise or service. Customers don't always patronize a store or purchase a brand or item of merchandise with the highest overall evaluation. The product or service offering the uh, benefits uh, greatest benefits may not be available from the retailer, or the customer may feel that its risk outweigh the potential benefits. One measure of retailer success at converting positive evaluation to purchases is the number of real or virtual abandoned carts in the retailer store or website. Retailers use various tactics to increase the chances that customers will convert their positive evaluation into purchases. Retailers can reduce the number of abandoned carts by making it easier to purchase merchandise. They can reduce the actual wait time for buying merchandise at having more checkout lanes open and placing them conveniently in the store. To reduce perceived wait times, they can install digital displays to entertain customers waiting in line. Customers' perceived risk in making a purchase decision can be reduced by providing sufficient information that reinforces the customer's positive evaluation. For example, Eva's friend Brit, the salesperson, and another potential customer provided Eva with positive feedback to support her purchase decision. Finally, risks are reduced when retailers offer liberal return policies, money back guarantees, and refunds if customers find the same merchandise available at lower prices from another retailer. Conversion rates are particularly low for consumers using an internet channel because consumers are able to easily keep track of things they like. They can look at products, throw them in their cart, and delay a purchase decision. Retailers do a few things to encourage the customers to make a purchase decisions. Post purchase evaluation. The buying process doesn't end when a customer purchases a product. After making a purchase, the customer uses a product and then evaluates the experience to determine whether it was satisfactory or unsatisfactory. Satisfaction is a post consumption evaluation of how well a store or product meets or exceeds the customer expectations. This post purchase evaluation then becomes part of the customer's internal information and affects the store and product evaluation and purchase decisions. Unsatisfactorily, experiences can motivate the consumers to complain to the retailer, patronize other stores, and select different brands in the future. Consistently, high levels of satisfaction build store and brand loyalty, important sources of competitive advantages for retailers.